Guy that's in charge, it's my fault. So that's what I told him. I don't want to see the blame go to the players. I don't want to see the blame go to any of the coaches, put all the blame on me, and I failed him today, and that's what I told him. After that, I simply asked him how many of them won a bowl game, and I didn't see one hand go up. So that's a great incentive. That's something they have an opportunity to remember for the rest of their lives. And that was it.
Melvin just said that you don't want to let Ohio State beat you twice. Do you think that this team can carry that message forward and not let that happen?
Already have. They won't have this team will have no problem with that whatsoever. You know, the challenge is to understand what it takes to get back here. You know, leagues change, personnel changes, programs change, and you got to understand where you're at and where you sit and what it's going to take to get back into this game. And I think we got a very good taste of exactly where it is and what we've got to be able to do to get ourselves better. So, you know, a loss like this can have you go one of two ways. You're going to put your tail between your legs and run away from it, or you're going to look it straight in the eye and man up and go get after it. And I say that to myself again, most importantly. And I will look at it and I'll dissect this thing and we'll understand, because right now we're chasing Ohio State, and that's pretty obvious.
Did you feel that they did things differently than what you saw on tape, or was it a matter of execution for your team? Where would you put it?
No, again, you know, I think it's so important when you get into these spots. I refuse to put it on anybody else other than myself. These kids have got to understand that, you know, we're going to continue to prepare. As far as the scheme, no, there was not drastic changes in any way, shape, or form. They threw the ball down the field just like they do in every game. That's their offense, and they're going to take continual shots, and they got some very, very talented young men, and they made some plays down the field consistently on contested balls, and that's a credit to those young men that made those plays. The run game was very, very similar. You know, it's hard sometimes to see from the sidelines and then from the jumbotron to see where those are hitting and how they're hitting. You know, very uncharacteristic of us, and we'll have to get better.
You've seen other teams load the box and try other things, but you guys have still had so much success on offense. So what was different today, do you think?
I don't know. I got to go back again and sit back and look at that tape. Number one, it's better players. So some really good guys out there. They roll those kids through there, and when I say better players, that's not a disrespect to anybody else, but that hasn't happened to us. So I'm assuming that was our same guys out there playing the same way they always play, and I say assume. I know how hard they played. Our kids played their tails off and gave it everything they had, so they must be a cut above everybody else that's out there at this point.
You talked about the past 3 weeks being a kind of a one-and-done mentality the entire time. It was really 3 physical games. Do you think that impacted you at all tonight?
You know, as I said on Thursday in the press conference, I was a little worried about that early. And when I got through Tuesday and Wednesday with the kids and listening to them talk, they're always going to tell me kind of what I want to hear, I suppose. But I'm not going to sit back and say that's not going to be a crutch. That's not going to be an excuse. We were in those moments. We were in the situation. We were able to win those games. We weren't able to play tonight. And, you know, I thought we prepared well. And I thought we were ready to go. They looked good.
Is this just one of those nights where maybe nobody in the country beats Ohio State?
Boy, they were impressive, you know. And really all 3 phases. If you look back and you go to the plan to win, you know, we're not going to win one of the areas in the plan to win: offense, defense, special teams, take care of the football, win the 4th quarter. We're not going to win any of those. So, you know, we were thoroughly beat, and that is a very good team. It'll be interesting to see what happens as they continue to move forward.
People tend to remember what happened last, maybe more so than they should. How do you assess, though, what this team accomplished? What last, like in this game?
This
I tend to dwell on that, but
yeah.
How do you assess what this team accomplished as a whole to be able to get to this, considering all the obstacles you guys overcame?
Well, you know, if you look back and you just process your mind through the year, at least I process my mind through the year, these kids have done a lot. They're very youthful. I don't need to go into what I say about them every single day, although I'd like to again, but I won't waste your time with it again. I'm very, very proud of what they've done. Winning 10 football games in the Big Ten Conference and through the season that we went through is very difficult to do. But you know what's better than winning 10 is winning 11 and winning a bowl game. So they'll come back fighting. It's important for them to go back and you know, get a couple days off now. We've got to get them back here on Wednesday, give them a couple days to take a big deep breath, and we'll start preparing for the bowl and move forward. But it's been a great team to coach. I love these kids, and you know it's hard when you go out that way in a conference championship, let alone losing. losing that way is you just, I feel like, again, I failed them today.
Gary, have you been a part of a loss quite like that as a head coach?
No. Nope. Never have. Never been through a loss like that as a head football coach.
Gary, you talked about yesterday about being able to make the adjustments to help get Gordon going. Why weren't you able to make those adjustments today?
I don't know. We'll sit back and we'll evaluate it, and the offensive staff will evaluate it. Again, right now, all I can really honestly answer that question is some very talented players all the way across the board, and a coaching staff that obviously did a nice job. So all the credit at this point goes to Ohio State, and after we watch the film, I'm sure the credit will go there too. There'll be things we can do better and correct, and but when your number's called, you got to have an opportunity to step up and do some things, and they did today.
Do you take a couple of days off here and relax and think about what it is before you get going on whatever you're recruiting or whatever?
Yeah, I won't take a couple of days off, but I'll go back to tonight and get home and wake up in the morning and get things evaluated, spend some time there, and in the office. I think it's important the kids get a couple of days off. We need to catch our breath in academics and do some things there. But you got to, sometimes when you get in these spots, you got to completely evaluate everything within the program, and you got to go, why did this happen? Well, there's a reason it happened. And they're good. They're good. Are they that good for that score? I guess I'll have to watch the film and evaluate that. But you got to look at every single phase of a program when this happens to you, so it doesn't happen again.
Is Ohio State a top 4 team?
I would say yes. From my standpoint of what I saw out there tonight, and I think we've played some pretty good football teams throughout the year, and it's the best team we've played by far. So I'd like to see them get in the Final Four and take a shot at it for a good friend in Urban, and for the Big Ten. I think it'd be fantastic.
You're going to give an update on Zags and Bulls and
Conrad.
Andersen too?
Conrad's done for the year, and Sam should be back and ready to go probably late into the week, I would imagine. So, and then who was the other one?
Bulls. 4 plays.
Danny? Oh yeah, Danny. Yeah, Danny. Dan just tweaked it again. It's not any worse. It's just, you want to talk about a kid that did everything he could possibly do to get out there and be able to play. And I told him at halftime, I just appreciate him giving the effort to his team and the University of Wisconsin to even go out there and do that. 95, I don't know, maybe 95+% of the kids in the world would not do that. They're not tough enough to even try.
Can you explain what Zag's injury was and the fact that here he ends his senior year like this?
Yeah, to my knowledge, he has a knee injury, but I don't know the extent. So I just know he couldn't return, and they thought it would be very doubtful for the bowl game.
But to end his senior year walking off injury, can you just talk about that?
Yeah, it's. I guess if there's a bright side, he got to play a lot of games this year and had a tremendous career. Zags will bounce back. He's probably going to have an opportunity, assuming that he can't play in an all-star game down the road. It's tough that you don't get to go play in those. But anytime you see a kid go down, in that setting, in a championship game or any game throughout the year, those are hard pills to swallow. But I know Zag's good enough that he'll bounce back. Whatever that injury is, he'll bounce himself back, and he wants to play football again, and I hope he gets that opportunity.
Gary, just from being in the locker room, did you get the sense that players were angry, shell-shocked? How do you wrap your head around it?
Oh, I don't think you can look back and say that there's not a little bit of a shock factor that goes in a game like that. They play at the University of Wisconsin. They expect to play well, and they expect to play with anybody in the country. And so I didn't feel that on the field. I didn't feel a panicked, oh my God, what's going on, and we can't do anything right. There was they ground through that well. I think that will pay dividends in years to come, but it sure doesn't today. In the locker room, a good look in their eye is not the right thing to say, but an angry look in their eye, a look of how do we stop this from happening again. I would say I saw some of that in there, and that's my job, to let them know how we're going to not let that happen again. And I look forward to the opportunity of evaluating and trying to help these kids understand how that's not going to happen, and how to not make that happen again.
Do you have any idea what tomorrow will bring? I mean, what news are you expecting regarding the bowl?
I don't know. To be honest with you, we're so locked in on this thing and trying to win a championship, I didn't even discuss that with anybody, so I have no idea.
Take one more for Coach.
Just